Bienvenidos amigos, welcome to Inktober, day 5. Today's challenge, long. And first place my mind went, Shenlong, or Shenron, depending. The incredibly long Chinese-inspired dragon from Dragon Ball. And this incredibly long serpent-like design is one that I've always loved. And I thought this would be a perfect chance to have a go of it, do it myself, see what I can bring to the dragon table. And this was a lot of fun to do, but I also went into this thinking, I've spent the last few days spending a long time, many hours each day, perfecting character designs, making sure I got all the proportions and such right. So today I'll do a dragon. I'll do something relative. I mean, you just got to do his head, right? Just do the details of his face, and then the rest is just a long serpent, right? No worries. What a foolish thing that was to think, because this was the longest production this Inktober so far. I timed these out, and this took so long that you could see the sun going past the window and casting some very nice light there. It looks very dramatic. This took at least an hour longer than the Warrior Aerial did yesterday, but wow, did this turn out cool. And I really am starting to get my memory back, starting to get a feel again for the use of the different kinds of ink pens and for the markers. This, I really started to feel like I was coming into my own with these, like the way I was able to get the flat colors. Well, you'll see when I get to the coloring section. The hardest part of the initial sketch was making sure that the dragon's body not only, well, made as much sense as these things are capable of making, but also had a consistent thickness all throughout it. And you'll have to excuse me, it's 1:30 in the morning, so I am doing this a lot sleepier than I usually do these, so forgive me for being a little low energy. Once I had the thickness down, I had to make sure that the spine scale, the spine spikes were all facing in the right direction, all consistent, that his belly worked and was all evenly spaced, had all the scales. Having done the initial inking, I decided that I would like to add some thicker lines around the outlines. None of the internal details, just the external edges of the dragon, because when you're inking, having variables, because I've done everything with an extra small ink pen, having variable line thickness is an instant way to add interest and flair to your image. It just makes it pop to have different line thicknesses in a way that you could never do with just a single thickness. It's really quite, try it with your own drawings, you really can see what an amazing difference it makes. Finally we get to the coloring section here, and I did encounter a couple of little hiccups, especially with the Copic pens. It's an issue that I have had. Like, you'll see when I'm doing the spines later on in the video, and some parts of the belly, where you've got your marker and you're drawing, and then suddenly like a wave of ink comes out of it, like a sudden flood, and splashes down of your image. And depending on, this has happened to me before, it'll go right through the paper and stain your desk, and then leave this big semi-transparent blotch. I had a piece of tissue paper right next to me in case of such an eventuality happened, and it happened twice here, and I have no idea why they do that, just completely randomly. One minute the pen is fine, and the next minute suddenly there's a big ink stain there, like I've just startled an octopus or a squid, and I don't know what that is about. So if anybody knows why this happens, or a way to stop it happening, because it is very annoying and not something that I want to be thinking about when I'm trying to get my colors right. And once again, I'm making the Copics and the Chameleons play together, and they do play very nicely together. I decided to go for a bit more of a flatter shade with this, with fewer gradients. I did not use any of the Chameleons gradient features in this. I just straight up blended the pens one on top of the other to match the Dragon Ball look. If you've never seen Dragon Ball, it's an anime, so it's got a very flat shaded look, a cell shaded look, and I decided to try to replicate that, and it really works. Making sure to lightly brush and go over in a couple of layers, I was able to get far more even tones. Yesterday with Warrior Ariel, when I was doing her tail, I got streaks. And that is always the biggest challenge with markers, is to avoid the streaky look. So just go slowly with a couple of layers, one on top of the other, layer the colors on top of the other, and it gives you this nice beautiful flat color, which is exactly what you want. And here he is. Here is Shenron, and I love this. I mean, especially if you go back and compare this to the very first Inktober just 5 days ago. I mean, okay, I was doing that one in a very fast rush, just trying to get it ready before I walked out the door, but it's spectacular. Just a little experience and a little confidence, what you can do. I am so glad that I decided to really commit to tackling this Inktober. Please let me know what you think, and check back tomorrow. I believe the theme is sword, so we'll see what... sorry, Chun-Li, you're going to have to wait for another day again, see what we're going to come up with.